project. I'd like to point out, though, that I'm not a clinician, I'm not an OT or a physio. I have a wealth of experience of working in the field with clinicians, and I see myself as part, and colleagues like myself, see myself as part of a multidisciplinary team working with a clinician to help provide postural care for your clients or service users or patients. Before we go any further, I'd just like to run through a little bit of housekeeping. We are recording the session, so your cameras and mics should be switched off. The fact we're recording the session may be helpful. You may have a colleague who may want to be joining us but couldn't make it. We can share a link to a copy of the presentation. A little bit more about housekeeping. If you do have any technical issues, my colleague Kim is working in the background, at least I hope she is, and you can use the chat feature. But to be honest, what we tend finds to work best, if you have an issue with picture and sound quality or buffering, whatever buffering is, you may want to exit and rejoin the meeting. It tends to reset and reconfigure things. It works quite well. I think that's about it. I'm just checking. Yeah, that'll do. So a little bit more about the structure of the presentation. It's going to be a short PowerPoint. I don't really want it to be death by PowerPoint. I'd like to spend some time looking at product and looking at how we apply the clinical theory to the design process of, chairs. We'll talk about how we've arrived at today's event and what's prompted us to develop new product. So if you just bear with me, I'm just going to wander across to my laptop and I'm going to share my screen with you. So hopefully what you can see now is my screen, specialist seating for the smaller client. So, just waiting for somebody else to join us. So how did we arrive at this stage we find ourselves today, looking at two new products for a client group? Over the course of a year, we engage in hundreds, possibly thousands of seating assessments. The majority of these assessments are conducted in collaboration with healthcare professionals, typically occupational therapists or physiotherapists. You may have had an experience with this already. You may be aware of our direct seating team, or perhaps you're working with one of our trade partners to provide product for your clients. The majority of assessments are conducted in collaboration with healthcare professionals, as I just said. These assessments occur in various settings, including care homes, hospitals, hospices, private residences, essentially anywhere we identify the need for specialist seating. As you'd expect, during the assessment, our primary focus is on meeting the specific need of the individual we work with. In most cases, we find a suitable solution from our standard product offering. Occasionally, though, we identify the need for what we call a tailored solution or a bespoke component as part of the chair. I'm going to test Kim here. Perhaps Kim could post a link here to our website that will give you a little bit more information on tailored solutions. One essential aspect of a successful assessment is active listening. Needless to say, we need to listen to the client, the family, the carers, the clinician. But we're also looking for insight on client experience. Anybody who interacts with the product, we're keen to know how they have found the product works for them, both clinically and practically, both for the chair user, the care group, and the family and the clinician. We want to make sure it's meeting expectations. So this feedback is then passed on to our design team. Our design team will take that feedback, research and look to enhance products to meet the newly identified need. And where occasionally we find ourselves is that we need to review and look at launching possibly a new product. So to sum that up, we've reached out, we've spoken, we've listened, we've integrated with people. We've researched, we've designed, we've trialed, and yes, we're excited. So that's the practical path that's brought us to today's presentation. There's a clinical justification as well.
No, support looks at what's within.
If you could switch your mic off. Thank you. It's glad to know other people have problems with Zoom as well as myself. Okay, so we need to consider specialist seating when an individual's ability to achieve a good sitting posture is affected. Whether this is temporary or permanent, through illness or disability, it can have a significant impact on the health and well-being of that individual. You know, if you've joined a Careflex webinar in the past, you'll know just how much importance we believe that specialist seating will have on the quality of life and well-being of the individual. Specialist seating systems allow those who have difficulty achieving their optimum posture to sit out comfortably, to interact with their environment, and to participate in the activities of daily living, and to enhance their physiological function. Bear with me a second, there's a lag on my... There we go. That was the clinical justification slide you should have seen. The chair essentials. These are the fundamental broad brush features that we are looking for when we design the chair. The chairs need to be designed to meet the needs of the mild to moderate to complex chair postural requirements of a person. The chairs really need to be fully adjustable and highly flexible to be able to correct and accommodate complex postural presentations. They need to safely support the user to engage in everyday life and to improve the quality of life. They need integrated pressure care management. And when working with children, we also need to future-proof a product to accommodate growth. I want to stress that these are small chairs. They're not specifically designed for children, or they work quite well with children. It's designed for that client with the small stature. Here's the first quick look at one of the products, and what I've got here is just a list of the typical client groups that may, benefit from the chair. It's not an exclusive, it's not a definitive list, but it just gives you an example, so it may help you to picture, clients who may well benefit from the product. So we have those with cerebral palsy, traumatic brain injury, spinal cord injury, neurological, neuromuscular conditions, semi-ambulant and non-ambulant, those with pelvic instability, muscle weakness and paralysis, abnormal muscle tone and contractures, scoliosis, and those with increased risk of thoracic kyphosis. In essence, to cut a long story short, it's designed for those with complex postural needs. Here's the multi-adjust. Again, we'll have a little look at these products in a lot more detail when it comes to the practical, hands-on demonstration of the chairs. So again, designed for the semi and non-ambulant, something that we are seeing a lot more of these days. The semi-ambulant client, and those transfers in are quite key. And when we come to looking at the chairs, we look at ways, or we look at how we've helped to make that transfer a little bit more easy. The reason for, the small models can be summed up when we look at our 6 key principles of specialist seating. We've added one to these list of principles, and that's adjustability. We really think adjustability is key, and we'll elaborate on that as we move through the presentation. Comfort is key for quality of life, and for this reason, it's our top priority. Promoting comfort and feelings of safety can not only enhance an individual's daily life, but also increase tolerance and compliance with equipment. If an individual isn't comfortable with a chair, then they're just not going to use the chair. All that time and effort we've spent with complex assessments and funding applications is wasted. Good postural care is not only important for protecting the body segments and reducing risk of secondary complications, but also for encouraging normal body function and movement and the promotion of independence. Specialist seating systems allow users to become more involved in the activities of daily living, helping with interaction and engagement. Energy management is a critical part of promoting comfort and function. Fatigue can affect all aspects of an individual's life and can significantly restrict their ability to engage in daily living and can have a negative effect on them physiologically and socially. There's a rogues gallery there. That's our young models. But again, I guess I'd like to stress here the chairs are designed for those of smaller stature. Just so happens that children fall into that category. So let's look at comfort in a little bit more detail. As I've already said, it's a fundamental element to improving the quality of life, and it's our top priority at Careflex. Individuals with specific postural needs often face challenges when it comes to sitting out comfortably. For example, those with complex disabilities may exhibit abnormal muscle tone or involuntary movements, which are typically associated with painful spasms or instability. Comfort holds equal significance for individuals with a more sedentary lifestyle or limited mobility due to extended periods of time spent sitting. This can lead to stiffness or chronic pain. Specialist seating plays a vital role in promoting comfort and a sense of security. Ultimately, our goal is to ensure user compliance with the equipment. If a user isn't comfortable, they simply won't use the equipment. And as I've said previously, all that time and effort spent with the assessment and the funding process and the general volume of work in providing a specialist bit of equipment can be wasted. Adjustability, another key feature here, one of our newly adopted key principles. Specialist seating needs to be precisely set up to meet of the individual. If it's not done properly, they can cause more damage than good. And a phrase I've often used in the past is the devil's in the detail. It's the finer nuances, if you like, of setting up the seating system can make a big difference. And again, we cover that in a bit more detail when we come to the practical demonstration. The new chairs are highly modular, allowing them to be set up to meet those individuals' needs. They have adjustments for seat depth, seat height, seat width, arm height, and back height. Obviously, something key here, to set up that chair for the needs of the individual. But it'll also help to reissue and reuse that chair, or to, as I said already, future-proof the product. In a sense, we're protecting the investment made by the funding authority to make that chair as modular and as adjustable as possible so it can be reused with other clients if need be. Now, the specification for the multi-adjust chair was specifically influenced by feedback from healthcare professionals, which identified the need for a seating solution for that slightly shorter client, but who was relatively wide at the hip. In simpler terms, or in layman's terms, that stout individual. We've made the chair adjustments hassle-free. Nearly all the adjustments, which I'll show you later, can be done without the need for tools. We've made the adjustments intuitive and obvious and simple to use. And they've got to be simple to use because I can adjust the chairs myself. Moving on to pressure management, and a phrase we use quite often, but just sums it up really. Posture and pressure care are inextricably linked. Body posture and positioning will have an impact on the pressure going through specific body points. The body can only withstand these interface pressures for a limited period of time. If that loading is unequal or pressure is not redistributed, then that's when the pressure damage can happen. There are other contributing factors such as shear, friction, and moisture. Now, a key part of pressure care management is regular redistribution. We'll have a little look to see how we achieve this in a second with our water cell technology cushion. So specialist seating systems aim to redistribute pressure by regular movement and getting as much of the chair using contact with the chair surface or the support surface as possible. Again, harking back here to the importance of the flexibility and the adjustability of the chair to get as much of that client supported as possible. Just a little bit about a product here that we use, or it's not an accessory, it's a key feature of a Careflex chair, and that's a water cell technology seat cushion. Another test for Kim. Kim can post a link here to our website that'll give you a lot more information on the water cell technology. What we can see here are, before and after pressure mapping. You can see the high pressure points with the standard foam, which are alleviated when we introduce the WaterCell technology pressure care cushion. Top of the screen, you can see a cutaway there of a cushion being used with a chair. And what I'd like to stress is that the cushion is only part of the system. It's a system approach to pressure care. As I've said already, pressure care and posture are inextricably linked. So it's not just about the surface you're sitting on, it's how we sit on that surface as well. So what you can see in the picture is the grey fabric, which is a 4-way stretch breathable cover. Just below that, we have a layer of memory foam, and then we have WaterCells in the base of the chair. The way that it works is very simple, and we've used the system of cushion for 28 plus years with our seating. The 4-way stretch does what it says on the can, in so much that it allows the bony prominence to be absorbed into the seat surface or the cushion surface. The light blue foam you can see underneath the black cover there is memory foam that reacts to the body heat and contours the body shape. And the bluer WaterCells in the base of the cushion, water just moves away from the high pressure point, and the effect that that has is that the bony prominences are absorbed into the seat surface. The surrounding surface rises to spread that pressure over a greater area. It's a very complex definition of a really simple process, if you like. Postural care, again, underpinning our design process. Postural care is the use of any technique to minimize the risk of postural abnormality. The technique we're using here today is specialist seating. It's been linked to the individual's ability to meet those seating objectives. The lack of postural care may lead to abnormal or prolonged destructive seating postures. These can increase the risk of secondary complications such as pain and postural deterioration. To provide effective postural care, we must target all the body from head to toe. I'm sitting here dying to move across to my chairs to show you how we achieve these things, but that will come shortly. Function and independence are fundamental to an individual's well-being and significantly contribute to their overall quality of life. Specialist seating plays a crucial role not only in safeguarding the various body segments and minimizing the potential for secondary complications, but also to facilitate natural functional movement and fostering independence. Maintaining a stable posture has proven benefits as it enables the individual to more actively participate in social activities, whether at home, school, or work. Something often forgotten, support network considerations. So when designing the chair, a primary focus is, as you'd expect, revolves around meeting the needs and expectations of the person who's going to use the chair. We aim to ensure that the chair is effectively supporting and accommodating and correcting the user's posture during its use. Another critical aspect to consider, though, is the support network, as it plays a pivotal role in determining the success of the equipment. To this end, we've made all our chairs compatible with various types of equipment, but principally what I'm talking about is hoists and slings. And I can't stress how important that transfer is into a seating system. It's really important that the sling is applied correctly and efficiently and effectively, and the hoist is used. We can use then some features on the chair to help with that transfer to space, for example, but we'll have a little look at that again in a more practical way when I look at the chairs in the live demo. Ultimately, though, the goal is to minimize the physical strain on caregivers and to enhance the overall caregiving experience. Finally, health, safety, and well-being it's a major goal in postural management to promote good health, to improve the patient's physiological function and well-being. The inability to sit upright can cause increased dependence and decline in overall health, primarily affecting respiration, swallow function, aspiration, and digestive issues, leading to an increased risk of infection. So that's the PowerPoint presentation coming to an end. I'm just going to stop sharing my screen. And I'm just going to move back to have a little look at two new products that we've specifically designed for use with the smaller client. You know, the design process has been underpinned by what we've just talked about and just discussed. And here's the practical solution that we've come up with for that client. Just checking, Jamie, you'll tell me if I'm not on full screen. I should be pinned now, so I should be main screen. So two chairs to look at today. Hydro tilt, sorry, the hydro tilt. That's old age, that's an old chair that we've had. The multi-adjust and the Smart Seat Pro. These are two smaller models of a medium frame chair. I'll give you an overview of both chairs to start with. Both chairs have tilt and space, back angle recline, seat width, seat depth adjustment, an elevating leg rest and an angle adjustable footplate. The multi-adjust is designed for those with mild to moderate postural needs. Smart Seat Pro 2 is designed for those more with complex needs. But the area in between is great. You know, it's what's most appropriate, what future-proofs product in terms of use for the client. So the first chair I'll look at would be the multi-adjust. Lots of similarity in features, but as you can see, there's a more complex back system on the Smart Seat Pro 2. So tilt in space, back to seat angle. Just make sure you can see me here. It's better on the screen. Space. 30 degrees of tilt in space. Coming back to our principles, it can really help with fatigue and energy management. But we've also got to be wary for some clients where we may have an issue with aspiration, breathing, swallow, digestion. It's not a given that we can use tilt in space with everybody, but it does help with that fatigue management. Back angle recline. Sure. There's loose stuff. We need to be careful with back angle recline because it can adversely affect pelvic stability. We put the pelvis into a posterior tilt, and that can sometimes prompt a slight shearing, slight sliding down of the chair. But it's a balance, you know, sometimes for comfort reasons, coming back to our key aim here, we need to use back angle recline just to accommodate somebody's posture. Perhaps they're painful at the hip or abdominal pressures, so we need to open that hip angle, perhaps the fixed hip angle. In terms of safety and caregiver awareness, tilt in space, top right, squeeze your lever, tilt, release whatever's most appropriate for your client. You can see that there. Back angle recline, just squeeze the lever initially, nothing happens. Okay, because what we are trying to do here is to make somebody think that when I squeeze that, we'll go, what's happening? I don't want my client to have their back angle accidentally or inadvertently changed by a carer coming along, just not quite realizing, make a mistake in adjusting that. So what we've got is a locked lever. So the lever here, so just squeeze the lever to lock, squeeze. There we go. Near that click, that locks. Back angle in place. So as I said in the presentation, PowerPoint, we need to make sure that we support, we look at posture from head to toe. It's a full body approach. Leg rest on this chair. It's two settings. Negative angle leg rest standard, which gives us -25 degrees. second standard, which the second setting for the chair would give us a higher lift on the chair. That's something we would do perhaps a technician-led function really. It's very simple, but we need to reposition where the gas strut is on the bottom of the chair. But it helps to future-proof, another term I use in the presentation, to future-proof the use of the chair. Angle adjustable footplate. Which will lock in place. When it's not in use, we can just pick it up so it's out of the way. Get that. See, the footplate is nice and broad and deep. Provide full support for a client. We've other accessories we can use with the footplate. For example, panel footplate. So if your client's feet tend to stray off either side of the chair, you just pop that on there, okay, to help support your client's feet. Stop them from wandering. Pommel is an option to prevent adduction. It's held in place with friction, just pops it in and out, very simple and easy to use. No tools required. Pick that out and take it to one side. Pelvic stability. Critical really here that we've got seat depth and seat width adjustment. Now on both chairs, this is actually built into the chair. Some levers here. See there. Seat width adjustment. You'll notice again, referring back to the presentation, that we've got a nice broad seat width. We've got a 19-inch, 480mm, 40cm seat width. I'm trying to accommodate, as I said, that shorter client who has a wider hip, but adjustable. So again, you know, adjustability and modularity is key. So if your first client using a chair needs quite a broad seat width, chair can come back in. We can decrease the seat width for the next client using the chair, or perhaps as a child grows, we can increase seat width. Increase arm height of the chair. Seat width, sorry, seat depth adjustment. Chair around. Just a lever on the back, chair here. Hold this lever down. Bring the back towards me. That will increase seat depth. Get away from me, decrease the seat depth. So again, a key feature to help you with pelvic stability. You know, again, part of the presentation, we said how important stability was and how that's related to pelvic stability. Switch around the brakes off. We can nice and loose there. So again, what I've got here is an example of a contoured back. This helps to prompt that individual to stay in midline position and get back to comfort. If we can achieve a good midline with a contoured back, it's really helpful because it's quite a comfortable solution. We can put a flat back on the chair as well. And we can add adjustable laterals, which I'll show you in a second. But I just want to show you how the modularity of this chair can work as well. So either for growth reasons or for using with a different client, my next person or the same person using this chair needs a higher back height. What we can do is pop that cushion out, take the cushion off, and these are all held in place with clips. The clips here just click onto recesses in the back of the chair. I won't cheat. You will actually need a tool just to adjust the Very sure. And then what that allows me to do, like that back section up. So now for my next client, I've got a higher back height. I'm going to use a flat back. Yeah, I'll pop this back on. Place. It's really how simple that is. I did need an Allen key, but that's one of the few adjustments I need to use an Allen key for. We've a range of adjustable laterals we can use with the chair, giving us different chest width support. You'll notice now though that the lateral is shaped, ergonomic, again reflecting the need for comfort and effective support. It kind of grips the individual. These are fitted into brackets on the back of the chair. Spin this round. Hope you're getting a sense of how easily I'm adjusting features on the chair. So brackets here, pop that in. Tighten that up. If I need to move that up, I can. Perhaps I need to use a different shape lateral on the other side. This is a small kidney pad. Spin the chair around. You can see how we've moved from a small contoured back to what we call a tall flat back with adjustable laterals. And you can see how easily I was able to adjust that. It's worth mentioning as well that when we have a client who is has a wider seat width or requires a wider seat width, you see we have the potential for gaps on the side. Okay, so what we would recommend there is to use a wider cushion. Okay, that'll give you an idea of the hip width of that client. Headrests, various styles of headrest, or clipping onto the back of the chair. Here we don't use Velcro, we use clips that clip into the metal framework of the chair. Soft, shallow headrest, just hands up over the top here. You can open this up, make a little incision, and take some of the padding out. So that's the small multi-adjust. Just making sure I've covered all the points on that. Yep. Infection control. All the covers on the chairs are antimicrobial, so they won't support the growth of an organism. They're all loose covers. In a similar way that the cover on the seats of your cars are loose covers. You probably didn't realise that, but they're clipped in place. It's exactly the same with a Careflex shape of the chair. So if we have an issue with a spillage of a liquid, or it becomes contaminated, or carers rushing at the end of a shift, putting a chair through a doorway, catch it, scratch it, rip it, we can replace individual covers or components of the chair. Components and modularity, I mean, this is an example of the modularity, is what I did here with the back, how we moved from a smaller statured client to somebody who's slightly taller, somebody who's wider, somebody who needed slightly more complex lateral support. Again, coming back to pelvic stability, we can add pelvic straps, 4-point pelvic straps, groin harnesses, chest harnesses as well. All part of the assessment process. You can add a tray to the chair. Yes, sit on the arms of the chair, clip locks in to little adjustments, little fittings on the inside of the lower part of the chair here. I think that's pretty much small multi-adjust, and this chair was really driven by feedback. We launched the medium multi-adjust chair, I think it's about 2 years ago now. That feedback process and the design process was ongoing, and we fairly quickly identified the need for a smaller chair. So hopefully you can see the potential this chair has for that smaller client. So it is mild to moderate. For complex postural needs and postural care, we need to look at a slightly more complex chair. So I'm going to move away from the multi-adjust. As we go along. And down to the SmartSeat Pro 2. So again, a tilted space chair. 30 degrees of tilted space on the small SmartSeat Pro. Fatigue management, energy conservation, pelvic stability. You know, if somebody becomes fatigued, it become more difficult and more uncomfortable for somebody to sit in the chair. So tilted space is great for that. But as I said as well, we need to be aware of the issues with somebody who may have breathing, swallowing, or digestion problems. We need to be using tilted space in more of a prescriptive manner. So to help with that process, we've included what we call an inclinometer. I prefer to call it a tilted space gauge. So we can actually measure the amount of tilted space we are using at any one time. So as part of your care plan, you may be saying, you know, lunch, upright, after lunch, we need to use a little bit of tilted space, but we don't use 30 degrees because we're going to start to have swallow issues, breathing issues. We just need to use 10 degrees. So we can measure that on this little gauge here. Perhaps you can't quite see the detail of the gauge here, but it's like a floating ball, and it's called a protractor or compass. It's a long time since I was in school, but it will indicate the amount of tilted space being used at any one time. So again, you can see the move up to a slightly more complex product as opposed to the slightly simpler and mild to moderate support we provide with the multi-adjust. The leg rest is articulating. So as we elevate it, it grows in length to accommodate the geometry, if you like, of what happened at the knee, so that we don't raise the upper leg off the seat surface. Foot plate. Yeah. Angle adjustable, just like the multi-adjust. The channel leg rest now is standard here to help guide that individual's legs to keep them on the chair. One of the features I just remembering I didn't mention about the adjust is that we have seat height adjustment. Seat height adjustment is here. Okay, so again, perhaps a technician role if you're reissuing product, but be very keen to say that our engineers and assessors will help to reissue product as well if need be. So we've come along and we set this one here. The various specifications for the chairs we forward to you in a link. Okay, so I'm not going to tell you exactly what these are, but the higher seat floor height here, I believe it's 30 mil, and we go down slower. So we've got an 18-inch seat floor height down to a 15 or 14-inch seat floor height. But we confirmed that with some of the technical detail we'll send you shortly. Smart Seat Pro has the same feature, so it will help with that semi-ambulance transfer in and out of the chair. Seat width adjustment, very similar to what we had with the multi-adjust. Watch-out technology seat cushion, arm height adjustment. But the major change, this is a fairly obvious change, is the back style that we have in this chair. So it's a 4-section multi-adjustable back. And each section can be adjusted in a similar way. So we have height adjustment, depth adjustment, rotation, pitch, lateral. Now each section of the back forms the same adjustment in a very similar way, and that is this lever system that we have on the chair. Okay, so we just loosen that off. That allows me to the back section to take the twist. When I've got that sweet spot, if you like, I need to lock that off as quickly as I can. There we go, that's locked in place. You can see it's a little bit offset there, but that's perhaps we have an individual with a fixed asymmetrical posture. Again, coming back to comfort and to fine-tuning the setup of the chair for the individual. You see that top section here, or the middle section of each layer of the chair is adjustable again. So you quite often see this type of thing in a waterfall back, where we can open up the filling, take some of the padding out, and adjust that to meet the need of the individual. It's not needed, it's just locked away. You can see here now that pelvic stability, we just fitted a groin harness, just to give you an example of what we can do here. A chest harness, various sizes, various widths, headrest. Perhaps you've got a client with a slightly shorter leg, so a standard accessory. Pad there. Just to give examples here, I mentioned tailored solutions earlier on, and what used to be a tailored solution with this chair, a customized component, was to make the depth or the range of movement greater, so that we could accommodate perhaps that client with a slightly more kyphotic profile. So what we can do, we can fit the chairs. These were originally tailored solutions, but we can change this bracket length to make it deeper. I can get a feeling for what I'm saying there, okay? So you can imagine that the profile we can get into the back of this chair. Postural care, we need to target all the points of the body. So, for example, if we are suddenly wind sweeping and adducting, that's not just happening below the hips, it's causing a rotation above, and if it's something that's fixed, we need to accommodate that. If we can't correct it, that's where I'm led with a clinician at this point. I'm not making that judgment. It's that multidisciplinary team joint assessment, whether we accommodate or correct. But to help with correction, reduction, for example, we have a pommel that we can use. Just slide in. Bracket of this pommel here can be slid, moved either way. So if you've got somebody in that fixed wind sweeping posture, we're going to need to have that pommel offset. That kind of position. But we need to realign the head of the pommel as well, because at the moment it's we've got the corners of the pommel in one place. So what we can do, just a little fix in here. It allows me to set that on. That is Smart Seat Pro 2. Again, we've got seat height adjustment built into the chair, carried out in a very simple way to be carried. We adjust the seat height on the multi-adjust. I think I'm just about done, really. I'm just going to make sure I've covered all my points. Quality and warranty are key for us, so we have a lifetime warranty on the frame of the chairs. Resources to help you guys use the chairs, so we've standard product guides, but we have prescription guides, clinical evaluations of the chairs individually provided for each chair within the range. So that'll give you clinical evaluation of the different components and accessories on the chair, and often help with funding. It's like a cut and paste document, so if you need to provide justification for why you use the pommel on this chair, it's the cut and paste section of the chair which will say how the pommel will affect that posture. That's me. The other thing I can encourage you to do, just bear with me a second. We've also got this little booklet, which seems to be very, very popular with us, which is the Pocket Guide to Seating, written by my colleague, Rebecca Dunster. Rebecca's our clinical lead physiotherapist. Very handy and informative little resource to carry with you. So that's my little bit done, really. Do we have any questions, Kim? Is there anything that's needs addressing, or is there any issue with any part of the presentation that people would like to talk about?
No questions at the moment, but if anyone wants to pop anything into the group chat, I can read them out to Les here.
Nothing for anybody?
Seems like everyone is happy. A recording and the presentation will be sent out to everyone, and a certificate.
Okay, well, if there are no further questions, thank you all for taking time out to join us today. Look forward to meeting you soon. If you're an occupational therapist, we have the OT show coming up in November. Come and see us, come and have a chat. Thank you all for attending, and we'll see you all soon. Thank you. Bye-bye.